Why is that showing up all the time?
Okay, thanks for everyone for adjusting for the earlier time today. There will be a transcript today. I should have started out, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody. We'll do players right after this down in the lobby, right over there. And if you didn't grab a bowl media guide, we got some over there. Grab one on the way out. So with that, we'll get with Coach.
Thanks, Matt. Good morning, everybody. Good to see everybody. And Merry Christmas. Yeah, we got a tree out there. It's been out there for a couple of weeks, so it gives us a nice reminder that the holiday season is coming. So, it's been kind of an interesting month on a couple of levels. The finals this is the last day of final exams, and a little bit different than it used to be. It's hard to find anybody that's got 5 finals. I mean, I don't think we have anybody on our team that's had 5, but, so it's been a little bit different. But anyway, the guys have had exams the last couple of weeks. I've been training, working through doing that, a little bit of practice, and probably the strangest, I think, thing for all of us is just as coaches, we've been, basically grounded to the barracks here. We've been here all month long, and that's really kind of a strange deal. But it's, I think there's some positives, and it gives us a chance to reconnect with our team a little bit better coming out of the season, and having a chance just to talk about things other than the football or the game plans, that type of deal. So anyway, looking forward to the next couple days ahead of us, having a chance to celebrate Christmas and, go through the bowl experience too. So it's all kind of getting ready to transition into a phase where we don't have as much to think about and much going on. Just take a minute and just, talk a little bit about our program and go back, 26 years ago we got here in 99, kind of, tagged that term developmental program, started using that years ago. And really what it gets down to is us recruiting players that, we think are going to fit our program, just taking lessons from past experience and, not having height bars or, being too fixed on size, speed, all that kind of stuff that some teams can do, and looking for other things in players. And I think that's really kind of been our mode, trying to get guys that are going to fit us, be team-oriented and, be comfortable working hard every day. And I think the best part, for us as coaches is having a chance to work with really good people and people that are thinking about improvement and growth, and also realize it takes patience sometimes to see that growth take place. So that being said, just want to highlight a couple guys that have been talked about here the last couple of weeks. One's, Jay Higgins will be going over there real quickly, and just to see him be selected as an All-American for the second year in a row, be a unanimous All-American, certainly very, very special. And the thing about him when he came out, wasn't a 5-star guy. I think he was headed to one of the MAC schools, or at least thinking about going that direction. Came here, contributed on special teams early in his career. And more importantly, I think he really paid attention to what was going on and learned from some outstanding players. And certainly the year before he started, you've got Jack Campbell and Seth Benson in there in the heart of our defense, doing a great job leading as well as playing. And Jay was paying attention, certainly. And, I don't want to say it's not a surprise that he has played that well. He's played extraordinarily well for 2 seasons. But, the leadership part, the way he goes about his business, really not a surprise, because we saw that from him from a younger standpoint. And certainly the last 2 years, he's just been the leader of our defense and our team, and certainly worthy of being an All-American. So I'd be remiss if I didn't cite him. And then Caleb Johnson, too, think about him, All-American recognition, certainly deserved. And think about his career, came here, really did some nice things, some intriguing things his first year. He's been a tremendous young guy to work with from the start and had good skill set, and really did a good job that first year. Second year, not as consistent. And then this year really just blossomed and showed great maturity. And I think the key there is he just kept working. He and I both have one thing in common. At the start of this year, we both started out in the penalty box first game. But he certainly, did a little bit better after that than maybe I did. So, what a phenomenal year he's had. Just each and every game, he's performed extremely well. And, it's a real credit to him. The maturity, taking the experience that he gained and putting that to use. that makes all the difference in the world. That's what good players do, and certainly had one of the top plays in that Nebraska game, which put us over the top. And that was the kind of game it was, where it was a game of big plays. And I don't know if anybody had a bigger one than he had, and it's one of the best plays, I think, in Iowa football history, quite frankly. And that one counted. Somebody mentioned that night, that it was like Cooper DeJean's play, except it counted, so a lot better. But for him to be recognized, really cool to see. Then you think about our specialists, you think about Caden Weegan, returner of the year, and he's been noted on some All-American teams. He's been a high-energy guy since he got here, too, and this year it really all came together. Like Caleb, it came together for him, did an unbelievable job out there. Drew Stevens, I could say the same thing. I have said the same thing. So, it's just watching these guys grow and develop and keep working at it, and it all starts with their attitude and their effort. And then the other guy I'd just like to cite is Nick Jackson. We're living in this portal era now, and transfers, all that stuff, and he's really, to me, the epitome of what you're looking for in the transfer portal. A guy that was looking for an opportunity, the right fit, and I think the criteria he was using to make a decision was really a mature approach, and it was a perfect fit from our standpoint. More importantly, from his standpoint, I don't know if Jay was a 5-star recruit when he came out, but he's certainly been a 5-star teammate and just a really valuable football player for us. And it was a bonus for us to get a 6-year with him. And I think he set a record for career games now, and Power 5, Power 4 conference. He's the all-time leading tackler. So, that's the fun part about what we do, and that's really why I'm sharing this. You see guys get recognized, getting awards, but the stories behind them is really, it's what makes it fun, makes it interesting. And then, from our standpoint, you're just always wondering who that next story is going to be as we watch guys, working and practicing, that type of thing. So that's really what makes it enjoyable. Preparation-wise, we have a couple new players joining us, actually tonight, I think it is. They'll be on the field, as I understand it, tomorrow. We got 2 new quarterbacks joining us. We got Hank Brown coming from Auburn University. He's going to transfer. Played his high school football in Nashville, coincidentally. And then Jimmy Sullivan's going to be joining us also, a high school mid-year transfer, or mid-year graduate, I should say. He'll start classes here in January, and he's able to practice with us here for whatever it is, like 5 days here before the game. So great to have those guys both join us. Obviously, they're not going to be playing, but get them indoctrinated a little bit and some opportunity to see them on the field. So looking forward to that. As we go into the game, Brendan Sullivan is healthy, so we expect him to be our starter. And then Jackson will be the backup to him. So it'll be our 1-2 depth chart there, Jackson Stratton. Won't say a lot about Missouri. We'll talk about that when we get down at the bowl game. But, just on the surface, obviously a 9-3 team, really good football team in the SEC. Had some outstanding games this year, and they've got some veteran players where it really counts. Quarterback's an outstanding player. And then I think the other thing that jumped out at me, they haven't lost a bowl game since Coach Trinkwitz has been there. So that just tells you they know how to handle the month, and it's a strange journey, if you will, and having the experience to find a formula to make it work is certainly a big part of it. So it'll be a tough game for us, no question about that, and we're looking forward to that, trying to get ready right now. And then just regarding the bowl, it's obviously a significant accomplishment for our football team. Mid-season there, we were teetering a little bit, and the guys came back, really rallied, and won 4 out of the last 5 games, and really proud of their effort there. And then you look over a 5-year span, our guys have really done a great job in the Big Ten. If you look, add up the wins, and we've done a really good job there, a representative job there, and that's a real credit to our upperclassmen, the seniors, juniors, guys that have been a big part of that. So that's kind of where that's at. Looking forward to the bowl experience. The folks down there do a great job. Perfect bowl people just are outstanding. It's hard to screw up Nashville. It's a great venue, and I think our players really enjoyed it last time, and we'll look forward to getting back there next week. I guess we're going down Tuesday. So with that, I'll turn it to questions.
Tom Kakert, Hawkeye Report. Kirk, your old boss is joining college football,
Yeah.
Bill Belichick. What are your thoughts on Bill becoming a college coach? Did he reach out to you about what the environment's like? Anything?
No, not really. I think he's got firsthand exposure, certainly. As you know, his son is coaching at the University of Washington. Was out here on the field back a couple months ago. So I think, I know he spent a time up there with Steve, and, I think he's gotten firsthand exposure live and in person. And, but he also knows the college game from going around scouting, talking to college coaches frequently regarding prospects, that type of thing. And to me, what it says is he loves coaching. I think that's pretty evident. And the other logical thing, if you watch this press conference, he talked a little bit about his dad. His dad was a career college coach at Naval Academy. Most of his career was at Naval Academy. Coincidentally, a couple of years at UNC, which is interesting. And so I don't know if that was fate or not, but I got to know his dad, and his dad was just an amazing person. And you can see where Bill's love for football came from, because his dad was all about football all the time. I remember catching him in, it was one of the last conventions I was at, probably 20 years ago. But anyway, I was having a refreshment with a friend of mine, saw him coming in, going to the elevator. It's like 11 o'clock, and at this time, I think he was probably about 85 years old. He's at the convention. And so I ran over just to say hello to him, figuring, it'd be a quick, how do you do, all that stuff. And we stood there for an hour. He's quizzing me about special teams and just going right down the list. So that love and passion for football, I think, probably stems right from that. And then, football's football, pro, college, or high school. If you're coaching and you love coaching. So I'm not surprised at all. I think it's really probably a genius move by the people at UNC.
Tyler Tashman with the Des Moines Register. Hank Brown, what was it about him that I guess kind of led you to pursue him in the portal, and what do you feel like he can bring to the team?
Yeah, I mean, it's like anything you do in the portal. I think if you go to the portal, you're trying to improve your depth and trying to improve the level of competition at any given position. And I mean, obviously, we're a little thin at that spot right now, body-wise, and need some guys that we think have a chance to really develop and grow. And so I know Tim has been really thorough with his evaluations on everybody, including high school film, and that was a big part of the evaluation, going back and watching all the prospects that we look at in high school, and then following it to whatever college tape may be there. And I think the things that Tim's looking for, he found that with Hank. And then the other key component is, what's it going to be like when we meet the prospect and his family and those types of things, and how we feel they're going to fit in the program, and then vice versa. It's got to be a mutual deal. So I feel really good about it. I think it's we're excited about it. And again, he's not going to play in this game, but we're going to add to the competition here in the spring and see how it goes. And both he and Jimmy Sullivan would be part of that.
Blake Hornstein, Hawkeye headquarters. Coach, Iowa's the only football program in America with 6 consensus All-Americans in each of the last 6 years you've had a consensus All-American. Yep. First of all, what is it that those guys on the wall have in common? And then second, what does it say about your program to have this many guys reach that top level of college football? Yeah,
I probably should look over there and cheat, because Torrey last year would be one of the guys. But I think it's fair in saying, we don't get a lot of 5-star guys. It's just, unless their dads played here, or it's probably about the best chance we got. Maybe a brother played here. I guess we've had that too. But otherwise, it's just not where we recruit typically. But as I said in the front end, it's about getting guys that have the right attitude and hopefully have a skill set that can be developed. Mentioned the height bar. Bob Sanders was never going to be able to get on the roller coaster in Kennywood Park back in Pittsburgh. But he could play strong safety pretty good for us, and he played it pretty well in the NFL too, all at 5'8". So. And if we were going by the bar, if other people didn't go by the bar, he would have gone to Penn State. So that's one thing I learned in the 80s. Good players come in all sizes and shapes. But it's the commonality of the guys that are over on that wall are guys that really had a lot of pride and they didn't mind working. And sometimes, they had to be patient like Jay. Jay sat for a while watching other good players play. And, that's really the secret at any level for somebody being good. It's just putting that work in. You've got to have requisite ability. You can't do it, just by chance. But, I think it's the attitude and just, ability to work hard, persevere, all the things that football teach you. Those things all come out in good form for those guys.
Hey, Kirk, Elliot Clough, Hawkeye Beacon. First part, no Reese Vanderzee on the depth chart. Is he going to be available?
He's good, yeah. I don't know when we wrote that depth chart, quite frankly. It's probably about 8 months ago. But, yeah, he's fine. He's practicing well and seems, in fact, one of the last questions I had coming off the field last night was, how you feeling? He just happened to be going by. I mean, he feels great, so he'll be in the rotation.
Second part, just Hank Brown so far via the portal. You comfortable with where you're at in terms of additions via the portal?
Yes, I mean, so far it's a process, as you know. A lot of people out traveling around, and I guess it all comes to an end Sunday, I think. Seems like it's been a long journey, but yeah, I mean, it's not hard to predict. It's impossible to predict. So I think we're in a good position, and we'll do our due diligence, and if it works, it works. With players we're involved with. If not, so be it. But we got a couple more visitors coming here, I guess, before Sunday. And as far as I know, we're done Sunday. That could change. But yeah, so I think we're comfortable right now. Yep.
John Seppi at the Gazette. Kind of now we're in however many years of the portal now. Kind of anything that you would change about kind of the way that this works?
How long do we have? Yeah.
However long you want to have.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm an optimist. I think we're moving in the right direction. Being college football, the real question, I think the proposed model right now is solid. The question is, can we enforce it? Can we really make it a reality? I'll believe that when I see it. But, I mean, I've been saying this for a while, especially after being in the NFL. One thing in the NFL is perfect clarity in terms of what you can do, what you can't do. Also have a collective bargaining agreement, so it makes it a little bit easier. But everybody's under contract in the NFL, coaches and players, in their binding contracts. So, if the coffee's not good on Tuesday, I can't just leave and go to the next team because my feelings got hurt about the coffee. So you sign a deal and then you live that deal out, or you sit. And the harsh reality in the NFL is like they can pay you to sit. They don't do it with players too often, but coaches they'll do. That's we're not a big expense item. So, but anyway, what we need is some structure and clarity, and I think everybody should be willing to sign on, and you could argue the same thing about coaches, I guess, but sign on and then live by the binding agreement. But right now there's way too much. People can change their minds really fast and move on, and it's really disruptive to everybody, quite frankly. I don't think it's fair to everybody. So just having structure would be nice, and then enforcement in the NFL is very consistent all across the board. Everybody plays by the same rules, and that's that's the utopia of we're never going to get that in college football. But salary cap, which I think we're kind of getting there. If we can enforce it, we're getting there, and that'll be a great start. And then again, I think there's got to be, if you say you're going to do this, then you got to do it for a prescribed. I'm not talking about a life sentence, but a prescribed, whatever you agree to write on a contract, then do it, live it out.
Ethan Peter, Quad City Times. You've called the 105 roster cap number regrettable.
Yeah.
We've seen some of the casualties.
That's a euphemism, right? Is that what euphemisms are? Yeah. Okay.
We've seen some of the casualties of the 105 roster cap. What was the process like of going through those discussions and getting your roster down to 105? And where do you stand on that ruling now?
It's been the hardest part of this month, and it could have been so easily avoided if we had just stair-stepped it. And I'm sure it was a financial decision. Nobody asked me for my opinion or filled me in on the details, but I'm sure it was a financial decision like everything we do. I would argue that you could have, whatever the dollar amount was, kept it the same and spread it, let's say 120 or 118, spread it amongst 118 instead of 105, and not have bloodletting, and that's the regrettable part in my mind. So we basically, there's a couple of ways to do it, and I don't know what other people are doing. I've heard other people are approaching it differently. But we felt very strongly as a staff that, we owed it to any player that might be in jeopardy to let them know the week following our last game what the status was, and give them an opportunity to go out and, prepare for whatever they want to prepare for. And we've had guys leave the program at that point. They've left the program. We've had other guys that are going to go to other places, but they're staying with the program throughout the bowl. Everybody's getting bowl gifts and all that stuff. Everybody had the opportunity to stay with us and go to the bowl site and be part of this, finish out the season with us as a team member. And then also, they had the option of doing whatever they want to do. We've had some guys leave and already find other homes. So we just felt like, it was the right thing to do to give everybody a chance to at least, if they want to prepare for the future, do it. If they want to stay here, that's great too. But it just, it was hard. That's hard. And then, the whole next chapter is going to be really interesting too, because practicing with 108 guys, 105 guys in college football, this is not the NFL. And if nobody's even brought up what happens if a guy has a season-ending injury. We can't go out and bring somebody in to replace that guy. So it makes practice a challenge. It makes developing a team a challenge. And those are questions and discussions for post-January. But I'm not looking forward to that because it's going to, I think it impacts a program like ours more so than people that recruit 5-star athletes every year because they're a little bit more ready-made. And, it's just, but that's the way it goes. We'll figure out a way to make it an advantage.
Chad Lace, Dakota Des Moines Register. Before I ask my question, a point of clarity. So those 2 quarterbacks you mentioned, I didn't realize they could start this soon. Is that new or like?
A lot of SEC teams have been doing it forever. Like, they show pictures of like 48 guys practicing with the team. And it's new for us. Yeah, it's new for us. Yeah. So at least we'll get eyes on these guys and get them out there. And Tim will have them totally confused by Monday.
Will they travel to the bowl game even or no?
I'm sorry?
Will they travel to the bowl game?
Yeah, they can't play as I understand it.
Yeah, I understand that, but
yeah.
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's nice.
Yeah. How would you say, you're going through, I know you had a quarterback in here recently. How would you say Iowa's positioned NIL-wise, just from what you know? I know it's all somewhat gray area, but how do you feel about where you're positioned in terms of what you can offer?
That's a really good question. I feel like we're fine. There are some extreme situations that are really interesting and literally mind-blowing sometimes. If you look at, let me qualify every statement I'm going to make here. Nothing is substantiated. Again, going back to the point about the NFL, like things are in black and white on paper. It's usually after like free agency goes on, you find out, not during free agency, but later on, you find out what the contracts are. There's been so much embellishment and exaggeration on numbers. I can tell you that from the past. Currently, I don't know if it's accurate or not, but some of the numbers you hear are just outrageous. And long story short, there's still, the new system doesn't kick in until sometime in the new year calendar. So there's kind of like funny money or free money floating around right now. And so it's a good time to be a guy in the portal. And then the markets are just really unrealistic. I'll give you an example. I remember seeing 2 tackles, whatever it would have been, I can look it up. One guy got drafted by a really good team. And I told Ozzie, I said, if we can get this guy in the 4th round, jump on him, 3rd round maybe. He got drafted in the 1st round, late 1st round, and started as a rookie. And another guy from the University of Buffalo, same thing. I said, hey, if we can get this guy in the 4th round, 5th round, let's grab him. He was going in the 3rd round. My point is that position, there's draft inflation for tackles in the NFL. At least there was in the early or mid-'90s. And there's a lot of that going on right now, too, where people are just, trying to fill needs. And if they got money in their pockets, which a couple schools do, I'm thinking of one in particular, that had a really good benefactor, that's what they call those guys, benefactors, right? And like great expectations. So, he dropped a big check on them and they're spending. And boy, but they're spending really, I'm not sure I see the value, but they're spending. So there are a lot of examples like that, but that's kind of, this is a really interesting period. And we'll see what happens here. Next year will be more interesting and we'll be able to gauge things a little bit better. But it's interesting. I think we're doing fine, but we're not crazy. Like, we're not just going out there and going crazy. Unless you guys want to kick in, we're happy to help you guys invest.
Hi, Kirk. You said you could go all day, so I'll give you another portal question. Recently, James Franklin said, I'm paraphrasing, he had a quarterback that didn't intend to go into the transfer portal, but things in the middle of the playoff, I think it's December 9th through December 26th.
It's an awful situation. I read about that. Yeah, certainly. And I couldn't agree more. It wasn't intentional by any stretch of the imagination, but the way the calendar falls, we have so many unintended bad consequences here. And then that's one of the poor kid had no choice. I mean, it basically had no choice. And it's the worst thing in the world. I mean, a college athlete, you work hard, you get a chance to play in the playoffs, but then, you got to look at, it's hard. It's really hard. And this whole system has taught some athletes really bad lessons too. And I'm not suggesting that is one. That's one where there was no good choice for the athlete. And I really feel badly for him. I have empathy for him. And I have empathy for Penn State too. That hurts their football team. And it's all because of a circumstance. But the way the system is right now, we're teaching some things you would never teach your kids at home or your kids on your football team. Like, just run and take the best deal possible sometimes, and that's not always the best deal in the long run.
A lot of people have suggestions. Do you have any suggestions to throw into the ring of what to do with the calendar, with the portal, with the semester system, spring football, any of that?
Yeah, I've only looked at headlines like we got to move it to spring. I saw one about we got to eliminate spring ball, and I got some thoughts on that one too. But yeah, I mean, at some point we just need to look at our whole system and try to so we can avoid circumstances like that, because that was not fair to anybody involved, the individual or the team, and it's really unfortunate. And I don't think it was intended that way. It's just the way it is, because you got the playoff thing working independently of the other stuff. So it's just. Just one more of those things. And there's a long list of crap that's happened. It's been, so life goes on. Just keep pressing, keep pushing. But that's really sad. Yep.
David Eichel, HawkeyeInsider.com. Kirk, Ethan Hurkett, Logan Jones, both coming back for another season. I'm assuming that you've had conversations with other players as well about if they're going to return or not. But I guess what do those two in particular bring back to your football team, and especially kind of maybe change things when you're kind of looking at the portal and everything else?
I mean, the first obvious statement is you can't go out and recruit guys like those guys. Maybe you can, but it's like I talked about, Jay, you got to wait 3 years or 4 years to get that from them. And same thing with those guys. Like those guys didn't knock it out of the park their first years in terms of everybody knowing who they were. They both have been works in progress, and they've been so steady and consistent since they've gotten here. All the nice things I said about Jay, I can say about Ethan and Logan and other guys too. And I mean, they embody, just like I talked about Jay, they embody what we are and who we are. Herc, in some ways, he's not Joe Evans exactly, but there's some parallels in his just the energy he brings, the tempo he works at, the focus that he brings to everything. He's an unbelievable leader just by his example. I can say the same thing about Aaron Graves, one of his line mates up there. And then Logan, same thing. I'm not saying Logan's Linderbaum, but there are a lot of parallels. I mean, this guy is just wired in. He's a really good football player. Excuse me, and then just everything he does as a human being is so steady, and so the more guys you have like that around your guys, everybody benefits by having them on the team. It's just really happy about that.
Tyler Tashman with the Des Moines Register. Brendan Sullivan, how has he looked kind of working back into things, and what are your expectations?
Really good. And we haven't worked. I'm going back to the end of the season. I think the next. Friday and Monday, we were off that weekend, but that Friday, Monday, we worked in, just shorts, no contact. I don't think he did anything or he didn't do much, but since that time, he's been great. He feels fully confident. So the injuries in the history now, it's past, and he's doing really well. And now the thing is just getting caught up, because he missed a couple of weeks there. So this has been a good period where he's getting some work, and Tim even had like a little quarterback school going, a couple of days where we weren't working, but just, working those guys mentally and going out in the field and just walking through some things and letting them throw the ball to stationary guys, things like that, and things you can't do in the spring, because it's, all that's the stupid rules we have. That goes back to we need to change our approach. January to August, we really need to change that, but that's discussion for a different day.
Last question, Blake.
First question about Bill Belichick, last question about Bill Belichick.
Oh, love it.
I guess my
rule number one for Bill is don't talk for other people. So just keep that in mind, okay? Keep that in mind.
Awesome. So if Coach Belichick was sitting next to me right now and he asked you, what advice would you give to me about being a college football coach, what would it be?
Turn around, run like hell. No, I'm joking. Nobody's more adept at handling change or just crazy circumstances. And I lived through two of them with him during our 3 years in Cleveland. I thought the first one was really extraordinary when we let Kozar go. We ended up cutting Bernie and native son. So you can imagine what that was like. That was nothing compared to the move 2 years later. So, he is just he's ultra successful for a lot of reasons, but he can take whatever presents itself, and he's going to figure out a way to work through it. So he really doesn't need much coaching or help from me. I know he's been observant, and then again having that connection with Steve. I know he spent time out there. He's been there in camp. He's been there in season. He knows the drill and the routine. He knows football better than anybody, and then he knows people as well. So he doesn't need my advice. He'll do really well, and I know he'll have really good people around him, and he's already started that with Mike Lombardi. So you know, he'll be ready to roll. Just make sure they're not on our schedule. That'd be the task there. Okay, Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll see you guys down there. Okay, thank you.
Players downstairs.